If you're thinking about finally buying that Porsche 911 you've been dreaming about since high school, you need to hear this right now. The 2026 model year is bringing massive price increases that could push your dream car thousands of dollars out of reach. This might be your last realistic shot at 911 ownership before prices spiral completely out of control. Let's get straight to the numbers because they tell a pretty shocking story. The base 2026 Porsche 911 Carrera now starts at $129,950. That's a jump of nearly $8,000 from the 2025 model that was priced at $122,095. Remember when you could buy a loaded Corvette for less than $50,000 back in the 90s? Those days are long gone. Porsche added standard leather interiors and other features that used to cost extra. But the real driver here is something much bigger. The used market isn't looking much friendlier either. Average prices for used 911s are sitting at $160,515 right now, which is more than 5 times the average used car price in America. Year over year, these cars have gone up 11.5%, while the rest of the used car market actually dropped slightly. Here's where things get really interesting for anyone who's been waiting until the kids finish college or until that promotion comes through. Multiple factors are lining up to push prices even higher once we hit 2026. First up are import tariffs. The United States has implemented tariffs ranging from 15 to potentially 30% on vehicles imported from Europe. Porsche builds all 911s in Germany, which means every single one crossing the Atlantic gets hit with these fees. Most car companies don't eat these costs. They pass them straight to buyers like us. Porsche already raised prices multiple times in 2025, including a 3.6% bump in the middle of the year. Industry analysts predict that tariffs alone could add 5 to 10% to the manufacturer's suggested retail price once they fully kick in. Then you've got the technology changes. The 2026 lineup introduces hybrid systems in several models, including the Carrera GTS and Turbo S. This T-hybrid setup combines a 3.6-liter flat-six engine with electric motors to deliver insane performance. The GTS puts out 532 horsepower, while the Turbo S cranks out 701 horsepower. That electric motor adds 54 horsepower instantly with zero turbo lag. Sounds amazing, right? Well, all that technology costs serious money to develop and manufacture. The battery pack, electric motors, and control systems don't come cheap. When you add hybrid components to a sports car platform, the price goes up significantly. Think about how much cars have changed since we were learning to drive. Most of us started with carburetors and manual chokes. Now we're talking about electric motors and computer systems that would have seemed like science fiction back then. Environmental regulations are tightening every year. Stricter crash test standards and emissions requirements mean Porsche has to install more advanced safety electronics and emissions control equipment. Every new airbag, every camera system, every piece of hardware that helps the car meet government standards adds cost. The 2026 models come with updated infotainment systems featuring 10.9-inch screens and even Alexa integration. These features would have blown our minds when we were younger, but they all contribute to rising prices. Demand remains incredibly strong despite economic uncertainty. Those of us who've worked hard for decades and built up some equity, we're in prime position to finally buy these dream cars. Maybe you sold a business. Maybe you're cashing in some stock options. Maybe the house you bought for $180,000 in the late 90s is now worth $600,000. Whatever your situation, you're not alone in eyeing a 911. When demand stays high and supply faces constraints from production capacity and parts availability, prices don't drop. They climb. Let's talk about what makes the 911 special in the first place, because understanding its history helps explain why prices stay so firm. Many of us remember seeing these cars for the first time in the 80s or 90s, thinking someday we'd own one. Ferdinand Buzzi Porsche sketched the first designs in 1959, aiming to create something more powerful than the 356 that came before it. The car debuted at the 1963 Frankfurt Motor Show as the 901, but got renamed to 911 after Peugeot claimed trademark issues with the 0 in the middle. Production started in September 1964 with a 2.0-liter air-cooled flat-six engine making 130 horsepower. That rear engine, rear-wheel drive layout became the 911's signature, creating handling characteristics that drivers either loved or learned to respect. The original generation ran from 1964 to 1989, an incredibly long production run that saw constant evolution. For those of us who came of age in the 70s and 80s, these were the 911s that defined the brand. The 911S arrived with 160 horsepower. The Targa added a removable roof panel in 1967, and the legendary Carrera RS of 1973 brought lightweight construction and that iconic ducktail spoiler. Then came the 930 Turbo in 1975. The first turbocharged 911 with 260 horsepower and wide body styling that made it instantly recognizable. Remember seeing these in movies and thinking they were the ultimate status symbol? These early cars used air cooling and felt raw, mechanical, alive in ways that modern cars sometimes struggle to match. Generation 2, the 964, showed up in 1989 and ran until 1994. For those of us graduating college or starting careers in that era, these represented the modern evolution of the 911. Porsche modernized with power steering, anti-lock brakes, and the option of all-wheel drive in the Carrera 4. The engine grew to 3.6 liters, and the turbo eventually reached 360 horsepower. This generation bridged the gap between old school and contemporary, keeping the air-cooled engine but adding the comfort features buyers were starting to expect. If you were in your 20s back then dreaming about these cars, you're in your 50s now with the financial means to actually buy one. The 993 generation from 1994 to 1998 holds a special place in enthusiasts' hearts as the last air-cooled 911. Many of us were establishing careers and starting families during this time, watching these cars appreciate in real time. Base models made 272 horsepower, while turbos hit 408 horsepower with twin turbochargers and all-wheel drive. The multi-link rear suspension improved handling, and the Targa got a cool glass roof panel. Values for these cars have been climbing because that air-cooled engine produces a sound and driving feel that water-cooled engines just can't replicate. Collectors pay premium prices for clean examples, and those prices keep rising as our generation reaches peak earning years. Everything changed in 1998 with the 996, Generation 4. Porsche switched to water cooling, which let them make more power and meet emission standards more easily. Base models started at 300 horsepower. The styling got controversial with integrated headlights that some people loved and others hated. Remember the debates in car magazines back then? The GT3 variant focused on track performance with 360 horsepower, while the Turbo brought all-wheel drive and 420 horsepower. Early 996s had some reliability concerns with intermediate shaft bearings, but later models and properly maintained examples run strong. For many of us, this was the first 911 generation that felt somewhat attainable price-wise when new. Generation 5, the 997, restored faith from 2004 to 2012. The styling returned to more traditional 911 proportions, and Porsche introduced the PDK dual-clutch transmission that shifted faster than any manual. Direct fuel injection boosted efficiency and power. Base Carreras made 325 horsepower, while the wild GT2 RS reached 612 horsepower. Special editions like the GT3 RS 4.0 with its 500 horsepower naturally aspirated engine became instant classics. This generation fixed the 996's issues and delivered the modern performance people wanted with the character they expected. By this point, many of us were hitting our peak earning years, making these cars feel closer to reality. The 991 generation from 2011 to 2019 used aluminum construction to cut weight by about 50 kilograms compared to the 997. Early models had 350 horsepower from a twin turbocharged 3.4-liter engine. The GT2 RS topped the range at 690 horsepower. Technology like torque vectoring and rear axle steering improved handling. Limited editions included the 911R with its manual transmission and lightweight focus, plus the gorgeous Speedster with its low windscreen. This generation coincided with the economic recovery after 2008, and many of us finally had the financial stability to seriously consider 911 ownership. Now we're in the 992 generation that started in 2019 and continues today, with the 992.2 facelift from 2024. Base models use a twin-turbo 3.0 liter, making 385 horsepower. Digital instrument clusters and advanced driver assistance systems bring the 911 into the modern age. The 992.2 facelift introduced those hybrid systems we talked about earlier. The GTS Hybrid and Turbo S Hybrid use electric motors to eliminate turbo lag completely, while boosting power to absurd levels. 0 to 60 happens in as little as 2.4 seconds in the Turbo S. For those of us who remember when breaking into the 5-second range was considered fast, these numbers seem almost absurd. Understanding depreciation patterns helps smart buyers find value, especially important for those of us thinking about this purchase as part of our overall financial picture. Most cars lose value fast, dropping 20 to 30% in the first few years. The 911 bucks this trend hard. On average, a 911 depreciates only about 19.5% over 5 years, which is incredibly low for any vehicle. Compare that to the family sedan you've been driving that probably lost a third of its value the moment you drove it off the lot. Some generations do even better. The 993 loses only 9 to 15% over 5 years, and many examples are actually appreciating as collectors snap them up. The air-cooled appeal drives values up, especially among our age group who remembers when these were just used cars, not collectibles. The 996 depreciated more initially, around 25 to 30%, because of those reliability concerns and polarizing looks. However, these cars are stabilizing now as people recognize them as future classics. You can find good 996 turbos for under $100,000, which represents solid value for 420 horsepower and all-wheel drive capability. For many of us, that under $100,000 price point makes a huge difference in whether we can justify the purchase to ourselves or our spouses. The 997 holds value exceptionally well at about 20% depreciation over 5 years. The 997.2 models with direct injection are actually appreciating in some cases, especially GT variants. The 991 generation shows minimal depreciation at 19.5%, with GT3 and GT2 RS models holding value best. Early 992 data suggests only about 6.5% depreciation so far, though hybrids could change these patterns. Limited production specials tend to appreciate while base Carreras offer more typical depreciation curves. This matters for those of us thinking about this not just as a toy, but as an asset that might hold value better than most purchases we make. If you want to buy before prices explode in 2026, focus on specific used models that offer the best combination of value, reliability, and driving enjoyment. The 997.2 GT3 from 2009 to 2012 sits around $134,000 and represents one of the smartest buys. It's the last 911 GT3 with hydraulic power steering, which enthusiasts prefer over electric systems for feel and feedback. Those of us who learned to drive before power steering became standard can really appreciate the difference. The 3.8-liter Mezger engine makes 435 horsepower and sounds incredible. These cars depreciate slowly, and many still have remaining warranty eligibility if you buy certified pre-owned. The 991.1 Carrera from 2011 to 2015 offers modern performance and reliability for $70,000 to $84,000. The 3.4-liter naturally aspirated engine produces 350 horsepower without turbo complexity. This represents an accessible entry point to relatively modern 911 ownership, perfect for those of us who want contemporary comfort and technology without paying current new car prices. For budget buyers willing to go older, the 996 Turbo from 1999 to 2004 delivers incredible value under $100,000. You get 420 horsepower, all-wheel drive, and the bulletproof Mezger engine that avoids the IMS bearing concerns affecting non-turbo 996 models. The Turbo's robust engine architecture has proven exceptionally reliable over time. These cars are undervalued right now compared to their capabilities. For many of us, buying a car from the early 2000s doesn't feel that old anyway because we remember when they were new. The 993 Targa from 1995 to 1998 costs $80,000 and up. But you're buying the last air-cooled 911 with that amazing glass roof panel. Values will likely continue climbing as these become recognized classics. The driving experience differs completely from modern cars, offering more mechanical connection and that air-cooled flat-six soundtrack. This might be your last affordable chance to own an air-cooled 911, the kind of car we all dreamed about when we were younger. Base 992 Carreras from 2019 and newer sell used for $100,000 to $140,000. You get all the latest technology, digital displays, and modern performance. Watch for slight depreciation on early examples as people upgrade to hybrid models. This could create buying opportunities. These newer cars offer the comfort and safety features that matter more as we get older. Things like adaptive cruise control and backup cameras that make daily driving easier. When shopping used, always get a pre-purchase inspection from a Porsche specialist. Check service records carefully and verify that maintenance happened on schedule. Those of us who've owned performance cars before know that deferred maintenance can turn into nightmare repair bills. Look for examples without accident history and avoid cars with excessive modifications unless you know exactly what you're getting. Consider certified pre-owned vehicles for warranty coverage that can extend into 2026. This peace of mind matters more as we get older and want reliability, not project cars. Avoid dealers adding market adjustments or required add-on packages that inflate prices artificially. Some dealers advertise inventory protected from future tariff increases, which could lock in current pricing. Research common issues for your target generation. The 996 had IMS bearing problems in non-turbo models. The 997 can have bore scoring in some engines, and even newer cars need regular fluid changes and brake service. Budget for maintenance because a Porsche oil change isn't the same $30 quick lube visit your daily driver needs. The hybrid technology in 2026 models deserves attention because it represents a major shift for the 911. The T-hybrid system in the GTS and Turbo S uses a 1.1 kilowatt-hour battery pack, much smaller than full electric vehicles. The electric motor provides 54 horsepower instantly, filling in power delivery before the turbochargers spool up. This creates seamless acceleration without the lag that turbocharged engines sometimes exhibit. For those of us who remember purely mechanical engines, this hybrid integration represents incredible engineering progress. Fuel economy improves slightly to 19 to 21 miles per gallon combined, though that's not really why people our age buy these cars. We're past worrying about gas money. Performance is the focus. The GTS hybrid hits 60 miles per hour in 2.7 seconds, while the Turbo S does it in 2.4 seconds. Remember when a 5-second 0 to 60 time was considered supercar territory? These numbers would have been unthinkable when we were younger. Top speeds exceed 190 miles per hour. Reviews praise the instant torque delivery and how naturally the hybrid system integrates with the flat-six engine. The downsides include added weight. The GTS weighs 3,803 pounds, which is hefty for a sports car, though still reasonable given the performance. Some of us purists argue that the hybrid complexity moves away from the 911's mechanical purity. But Porsche engineers insist the driving character remains intact. The hybrid system isn't designed for electric-only driving. It's purely about performance enhancement. Track-focused buyers might still prefer the lighter GT3 variants without hybrid systems, and that's a valid preference for those of us who value simplicity. Look at the investment angle. Certain 911 models could gain value in coming years. This matters for those of us thinking about estate planning or leaving something valuable to our kids. The 997.2 GT3 and GT3 RS already show appreciation trends with gains of 10% or more annually for pristine examples. The 991.1 Carrera offers stable value with potential upside as it becomes the last normally aspirated base model. Limited editions from any generation, including the 992 GT3 RS, will likely appreciate once production ends. Air-cooled models from the 993 generation and earlier continue climbing as they become collectibles rather than just used cars. The 964 is starting to gain recognition after years of being overshadowed by the 993. Even controversial models like the 996 could see value increases as they become old enough to trigger nostalgia. Those of us who remember when these were just 5 or 10-year-old used cars can hardly believe they're becoming collectibles now. Tariffs complicate predictions but generally point toward higher prices across the board. If new car prices jump 5 to 15% due to import taxes, used car values should rise proportionally as buyers seek alternatives. The gap between new and used pricing could narrow, making newer used examples more attractive. However, if tariffs get rolled back or trade deals change, this pressure could ease. We've all lived through enough economic cycles to know that predicting the future with certainty is impossible, but the current trajectory looks clear. Time is genuinely running short for buyers hoping to avoid the worst price increases. Dealers are already advertising 2026 models at the new higher prices. Inventory of 2025 models at old pricing is disappearing fast. The used market responds to new car prices with a lag, so you might have a few months to find deals before used values fully adjust upward. For those of us who've been saying we'll buy one someday needs to be soon. The Porsche 911 has earned its iconic status through decades of evolution while maintaining its core identity. That rear-mounted flat-six engine, the sloping roofline, the round headlights, these elements connect a 2026 model back to that original 1964 car in ways that few other vehicles can match. Many of us have admired these cars for 30 or 40 years, watching them evolve while dreaming about ownership. Over 1 million built, countless racing victories, and a reputation for quality that justifies premium pricing. This heritage means 911s hold value better than almost any other sports car. The current market shows strength even as broader auto sales face headwinds. Those of us with established careers and accumulated wealth continue buying them because the driving experience remains special. The combination of daily usability and weekend performance makes it practical as an only car or perfect as a weekend toy. You can drive a 911 cross-country in comfort, then attack a mountain road with confidence. That versatility adds to the appeal and supports strong resale values. These cars work for our lifestyle in ways that track-focused supercars don't. Your window to buy before major price increases is closing fast. The 2026 model year represents a clear inflection point with tariffs taking effect, hybrid technology adding costs, and Porsche responding to all these pressures with significant price increases. Whether you're shopping for a new base Carrera or a used 997 GT3, acting in 2025 versus waiting until 2026 could save you thousands of dollars. For those of us working with retirement accounts or home equity for funding, those thousands matter. The math is pretty straightforward. A 5% increase on a $130,000 car is $6,500. A 10% increase hits $13,000. Those numbers add up fast, especially when you're also thinking about college tuition or retirement planning. Focus your search on generations and models that offer the best value retention and driving experience for your budget and life stage. The 997.2 provides modern reliability with traditional 911 character. The 991.1 delivers contemporary performance without turbo complexity. The 996 Turbo offers bargain pricing for serious capability. The 993 appeals to collectors seeking air-cooled purity. Even newer 992 models could make sense if you want the latest technology and safety features that matter more as we get older. Do your research on common problems for each generation. Budget for maintenance because these are sophisticated performance cars that need proper care. Find a good independent Porsche specialist if dealer service costs too much. Many of us learned long ago that dealership rates aren't always necessary for quality work. Join online forums and clubs where owners share knowledge about their specific models. This community support helps you make informed decisions and avoid expensive mistakes. If you're ready to buy, start by defining your budget and must-have features. How does this purchase fit with your other financial obligations? Can you pay cash, or does financing make more sense from a tax perspective? These are the kinds of practical questions those of us in our peak earning years need to consider. Do you need all-wheel drive for winter driving, or is rear-wheel drive fine? Manual transmission for the engagement, or PDK for easier daily use? How important is the latest technology versus driving purity? Your answers guide which generation and model makes sense. Make your move with confidence, but don't rush into a bad purchase just to beat price increases. Those of us with decades of car buying experience know that a hasty decision often costs more than waiting. Take time for proper inspection and verification while recognizing that inventory moves fast. The sweet spot is being prepared to act quickly when the right car appears at a fair price. The Porsche 911 remains one of the most desirable sports cars ever created. For many of us, it represents the ultimate reward for decades of hard work and delayed gratification. Its combination of everyday usability and exhilarating performance creates an ownership experience that few rivals match. Whether you choose a modern hybrid with cutting-edge technology or an air-cooled classic with mechanical purity, you're buying into 6 decades of engineering excellence and motorsport heritage that continues evolving while respecting tradition.